With a lot of different shows coming to an end for the past few days, there's probably many of you out there that are actively looking for new things to read or watch, thanks to many series just being over now. And so there is a series that I recently decided to sit down and read, and I pretty much just caught up in almost one sitting because of how good it was. And I kind of wanted to talk about the series, my overall impressions and thoughts, and recommend it to all of you guys. And the series I'm talking about is Little Matcha Girl. Now, like I said, I discovered this series, sat down, read it, and pretty much caught up, because it actually is an incredibly interesting read. And so you're probably wondering, okay, so Chibi, what is it about? Is it something that I would enjoy, interest me, etc.? So if you're an individual that, let's say, loves Necromancy, or you're an individual that loves more of a darker story, then this series might be for you. However, this series isn't just a dark story. There is some uplifting comedy in the mix with the darker tones of Little Matcha Girl. Now, the actual synopsis or plot of the story of Little Matcha Girl, from what I can see so far from what I've read, there's a lot going on. I want to kind of cut out a little things to not spoil events later on, but pretty much though, it's about a girl called Matilda that is someone that is able to see ghosts and be able to summon the undead. Basically, she's aka a necromancer. She's able to rise the dead, use them as servants, etc. And pretty much everybody in her family is affiliated to some form of undead. For instance, they're either a lich or they're able to resurrect the dead, or a potion maker, something that's more of the darker arts of, magic pretty much. So Matilda as a character, with her overall introduction at the beginning of the story, she's someone that wants to be an adventurer, or more of an adventurer blogger. It's a very weird type of objective, but I actually do respect it since, I'm a content creator, I make videos, I can kind of relate with her wanting to go down a path of just making videos, etc. But the point is she wants to go on an adventure and record it and share it with the world. However, thanks to her overall profession, or what she's good at, for instance being a necromancer, you find out very early on she really can't be like an adventurer blogger very easily. And the reason for that is because early on in the first, chapters, we see that anyone that can see a ghost or talk to a ghost, or even if they can't see or talk to a ghost, even if there's a potential possibility that they're talking to a ghost, that person is locked away, the key is thrown away, and they're gone. They just disappear. Which pretty much lets us know that if you are affiliated with any form of necromancy, or you talk with ghosts, spirits, specters, whatever, you're gone. And so you automatically understand the situation that Matilda and her entire family is in. If anyone finds out the secret, they're gonna die probably, or be locked away, thrown in prison, whatever. Now, the point though is that once again, Matilda's overall objective is to be like a blogger / adventurer, and if she wants to do that, it's not going to be easy, especially with what her powers actually are. But obviously, this series gets a lot more complicated than that. There's more with the story. So, we find out very early on that apparently at an early age, Matilda made a contract. She was so young, but she made a contract with a Reaper, or, Grim Reaper pretty much. It says, hey, sure, I will be a Grim Reaper and all that, give me so-and-so, and, I will definitely be a Grim Reaper. So, we don't know exactly when she will become one, or how long it'll take for her to become one, if she needs to die, etc. But it is stated early on that she will become a Grim Reaper. So, it's like, okay, so she's a necromancer. She's going to become a Grim Reaper. Okay, it's kind of an extension of that. But at the same time, her objective of wanting to be, let's say, a blogger or whatever, it's gone. She cannot become that because she's going to be forced to probably be a Grim Reaper. So there's a lot of things, conflicting things, basically about someone that's forced into a role that they don't want to do. It's kind of a fascinating story so far that I enjoy. And like I said, there is a lot to the story. There is, more than what I just explained to you. I seriously recommend it. If you have not, read the series yet, and this is your first time hearing about it, I really do recommend you give it a shot. It's actually really engaging. And the artwork, by the way, is beautiful. Seriously, take a few moments to just look at how beautiful this artwork for Little Matcha Girl is. Seriously, I love it. I love that type of style. It reminds me a little bit of Hollow Knight to a certain extent, with some of the designs of the specters / ghouls. Now, in terms of the uplifting, happy stuff of the story, from what we can get, is that in terms of comedy, we have the granny of Matilda. She actually dies in, the first and second chapter. And at first, you're like, holy crap, the granny just died. And you're in a state of shock, and you're just like, did that really just happen? What's going to happen? Kind of find out the granny's already dead. She's a specter. She creates her own thrall, and basically she dies quite often because her grandkids usually are concocting certain potions or whatever, which kind of explodes, and then you have the granny's overall thrall just disappears, and she has to go back to, you know, actual spirit form to be able to get her body back. It's kind of funny, honestly. I do like that little gag. It isn't reused or anything, so don't worry, it doesn't get old very quickly, but I do like just how life and death for these characters, it is very different for them. For instance, like, you know, when you die, it isn't necessarily the end for these characters. They believe that you could be a spirit, specter, but at the same time, we get early hints that if, let's say, a spirit was to wander around in the world for too long, they'll become evil, they'll become corrupted or twisted. So I feel like the series is implying eventually the, like, granny and other people a part of Matilda's family that are dead already are probably going to get corrupted, turn evil, and do some despicable things in the story. I am interested in some of the twists that the series can kind of present. Now, speaking of other twists and stuff like that, there is a romance side, I feel like, that is building up within the story. Like, around chapter, 15, 16 of, you know, the series, you see this guy that is introduced very early on, and he helps out Matilda when she's having to move away from her house. And when he helps her out, you know, he takes a liking to her, and eventually he tries to party up with her later on in the story, around like chapter 24, and when he tries to party up with her, you know, obviously this is something that would be really beneficial for her. She'll be able to go on an adventure, get some experience, and maybe eventually be able to blog. But the guy, though, is apparently a son of a famous hero, someone that is, like, really special, someone that is one of the greatest adventurers, and because of that, you know, it's going to complicate the relationship. Imagine being someone that is, like, you know, a family of necromancers, a part of the mafia, etc., and you meet someone that, you know, is the son of the greatest hero. You can already see the conflicting stories there. It's kind of like a Romeo-Juliet type story going on, and so, yeah, there is, like I said, comedy, there's some slight romance thrown in, and there's a lot of dark themes. Now, speaking of other characters besides, obviously, Matilda, I want to talk about the aunt of Matilda. I actually am a big fan of her, because, like, she is a Gorgon, which is pretty much like a Medusa-type character. I've always been a big fan of, like, Gorgon-type stories, and so the way the aunt is being depicted is definitely something fascinating, because she isn't being, like, depicted as outright 100% malicious, but she does have this way about her to where she's very harsh to her, like, you know, nephew and niece. She's also very harsh in terms of, like, what she wants to say or what she wants to do, but she also seems to be very loving and caring, and I feel like there is a lot of build-up with the aunt as well, that she is looking out for Matilda early on, because she wants Matilda to potentially join her group of being, like, a part of her projects and what she's doing with her business, and so I feel like she's trying to help Matilda get out of the Grim Reaper contract. That is my early on theories to the story. I could be wrong, but that's my 2 cents on the matter. Oh yeah, one last thing I want to talk about before it slips my mind. I want to talk about Matilda's family, because with the way the chapters are, at least what I have read, it is implied that, you know, obviously anyone that practices necromancy or does anything with the undead is obviously evil and they need to be exterminated. And I do feel like probably, to some extent, when you think about lore and myth of, like, necromancers, etc., they're usually painted as evil, but they're not always necessarily evil if you really look, you know, deep into their lore. But when it comes to Matilda's family, we've already seen early on, around in the first 3 to 4 chapters, that Matilda's grandpa actually killed an innocent man. And it kind of implies that Matilda's family is probably evil to some extent, which means that they're probably going to be a big, like, twist/reveal that Matilda's probably going to disagree with, and maybe even go against her family. I do wonder if something like that might happen within the story because of some of the early foreshadowing within Little Matcha Girl. But I'll leave it at that. But yeah, Little Matcha Girl. Is it worth reading? So far, like I said, from what I've read, it's good. It is definitely worth reading if you're looking for something. It's a quick read, fun, and it's cute. It's a cute little series. It's about like 70-something chapters right now, so if you want to catch up, it's a little bit of a read, but it shouldn't take too long. Like I said, I sat down and binged pretty much a lot of it, but I will probably catch up once I'm done with this video. So yeah, link is in the description if you guys are interested in checking it out, and tell me your thoughts. How do you feel about the series? Like, if you have already read it, how do you feel about the story? How do you feel about the characters and the themes, etc.? I'm always a big sucker for, like, the Necromancer type stories, as you all know, and so having something like affiliated with the undead, skeletons, etc. is always something I actively seek out. But okay, I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, everybody that, is tuning into this video. And once again, if you're interested in reading, link is in the description. I appreciate it all. May you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Thank you so much. Be safe. Chibi out.